Hey everyone, welcome back to Simplilearn's YouTube channel. Before we get started with our session on project management and its principles, let me ask you this. Ever felt overwhelmed by the project management tools, processes and frameworks out there? You're not just alone. Today we're diving into a topic that every project manager needs to master and all the 12 principles of project management from the PMBOK 7th edition. The great thing about this latest edition of PMBOK Guide is that it takes a step back and focuses on what really matters, the mindset and behaviors that lead to successful projects. These 12 principles aren't about following a strict formula. They're about guiding how we think, lead, and make decisions in real-world situations. These principles are designed to be flexible, practical, and relevant across industries and thoroughly curated to help both beginners and the ones with expertise and years of experience. We will look at how they help teams stay aligned, navigate change, and ultimately deliver not just outputs but value. So with this session, if you're managing a software rollout or just starting with a project, these principles will give you a solid foundation to lead with confidence and clarity. If these are the type of videos you'd like to watch, then hit that like and subscribe buttons and the bell icon to get notified whenever we host. Before moving forward, just that you know, Simplilearn offers an online PMP certification training program. It is designed for project managers across industries. This comprehensive program equips you with the skills and knowledge required to excel in project management. You get to dive into key concepts, methodologies, and best practices and get hands-on experience with real-world projects. Our expert instructors will guide you through the PMBOK guide, preparing you to ace the PMP exam and achieve certification. Join thousands of professionals who have transformed their careers with Simplilearn. You can enroll today and take the first step towards becoming a certified project management professional. You can find the course link in the description box and pinned comments. That's it, let's get started. And now, over to our training experts.
Let's talk about the first principle in your PMBOK 7. This is on stewardship. The principle 1 is be a diligent, respectful, and a caring steward. If you look at the definition from PMI on this principle, let's talk about this and we'll dissect this and understand better. Steward act responsibly to carry out activities with integrity, care, and trustworthiness while maintaining compliance with internal and external guidelines. They demonstrate a broad commitment to financial, social, environmental impacts of the projects they support. Let's understand this better. First, who is a steward? A steward is like a caretaker or a guardian who takes care of someone or something important. A steward doesn't just do their job. They go extra mile, they think about it, they think how to do it the best way for everyone's benefit. They also make sure things are fair, kind, and done responsibly. Take an example of an air hostess. An air hostess acts as a steward by ensuring the safety and comfort of passengers during flight. Example, during turbulence, the air hostess takes care of the passengers by calming them, demonstrating safety procedures, and ensuring everyone are secure. A nurse is also a steward in the healthcare setting, taking responsibility for a patient's care and well-being. The nurse takes care of the recovery of a post-surgery patient by monitoring their vitals, administering medications on time, and providing emotional support. In the same way, a PM is a steward for the project. You practice stewardship in responsible planning, effective use and management of resource, and upholding values and ethics. And here are the traits of a project manager as a steward. Practice of integrity, care, trustworthiness, and compliance. Let's deep dive on this. Integrity. Integrity means always being honest and doing the right things even when no one is watching. A project steward should act with honesty, ethics, and transparency. Now, let's see integrity in action. It's like when the project is encountering overrun, instead of concealing the issues or downplaying its impact to avoid criticism, the project manager immediately communicates a problem to the stakeholder along with a potential solution. A project manager being honest in vendor selection approach, even though vendor offer bribe in exchange of a favor. This is an integrity in action. Now let's talk about the next attribute, which is care. Care means taking care of good care of everything you're responsible for, you're in charge of. It's taking care of holistically the project, the team, the stakeholder, society, and the environment. Care for the project. You ensure the project is planned and effectively executed without unnecessary risk or mistakes. You pay attention to every detail to deliver high quality results. Care for the team. You support team members by listening to their concerns, providing guidance, and ensuring a safe and transparent work environment, recognizing their efforts and create opportunities for them to grow. Your care for the stakeholders. You sensitize stakeholders about project progress, risk, and outcomes, address their expectations, and ensuring their satisfaction. Your care for your care for environment and the planet. It involves using resource judiciously and minimizing waste. Make decisions that reflect sustainability and responsibility towards the planet. Your care for society involves considering how the project impacts the community and ensure it doesn't harm people or create unintended problems. You contribute to positive changes wherever possible. And these are the few traits on care. As a project manager, we put into action. Now, the next attribute is on trustworthiness. Trustworthiness means being honest and doing what you say you will do. It's about being clear what you can and what you cannot do, making fair choices, and always doing the right thing so others can depend on you. You proactively identifying conflicts. It's also about avoiding conflict of interest, be it deliberate conflict of interest or situational conflict of interest. A PM need to clearly understand the threshold and commit within the delegated authority. For example, if someone asks for an increased effort or increased work, a PM should not commit beyond the authority because he or she is given a delegated authority. You have a protocol to follow. The next attribute is on adhering to compliance. Compliance means following the rules and doing what is right, whether at home or at work. The adherence to compliance. We adhere to compliance so everyone stays happy and safe. Adhere to compliance intended to project team, organization, their stakeholder, and public at large. If you look at high performing projects, they always seek ways to integrate compliance more fully into the project culture to maximize the alignment with compliance. If a situation occurs, if the rules get confusing, if the compliance gets confusing, you should not hesitate to ask for help. You need to ask for help to figure out the right things to do. Now we'll talk about the application of stewardship within the organization and outside the organization. Within the organization is about alignment with vision and vision. A steward work in sync with organization's vision, strategy, and objective, supporting a long-term value and alignment. It involves respectful team engagement. The project team's well-being, fair compensation, access to opportunities, and professional growths are prioritized. It's also about resource management, be it a financial, material, or other resource. Are they used responsibly with oversight on spending and resource allocation? Also, practicing leadership with authority and responsibility. An effective stewardship involves understanding the limits and scope of one's authority and taking accountability for the decisions and outcomes. The application of stewardship outside the organization involves environmental sustainability, stakeholder relationship, market and social impact. Environmental sustainability. The steward considers the impact on the environment, promoting sustainable resource use and minimizing them. Stakeholder relationship. Projects influence external stakeholder. right from partners to communities, regulatory authorities, customers, and responsible stewardship considers these relationship carefully. What we need a long lasting bilateral relationship with vendor. This also be taken care. You also factor market and social impact. Beyond organizational success, projects often impact broader social and market ecosystem. There's a bilateral impact between the project and the ecosystem. The project will create an impact on the ecosystem, and ecosystem will also create an impact on the project. A responsible steward recognize these impact and aim to contribute positively. Now let's list down the expectations as a part when you practice stewardship. It's about adherence to ethical standards, ensuring open, transparent communication, proactively manage risk and issues, and considering long-term impact. Adhering to the ethical standards, a steward should act as a role model, embodying high ethical standards in all decisions. This might include confronting unethical behavior, maintaining transparency, and promoting a culture of honesty and integrity. Practice of open, transparent communication. Transparency is essential to stewardship. Open communications fosters trust and create a safe environment for team members and stakeholders to voice their concern. A transparent steward encourages feedback, multiple feedback channels, considering different perspectives and remain open to constructive criticism. Proactive management of risk and issues. A responsible stewardship requires ongoing monitoring and proactive management of potential risk, challenges, and impact it creates. By identifying risk early and involving stakeholders in the discussion, a steward can maintain control and build confidence in the project's management. Consideration of long term impact. A steward is not just about achieving immediate tactical project goals. It also considers projects' long term effects on the organization, the environment, and the society as well. A responsible steward factor in long term sustainability and potential unintended consequence, making decisions that align with a lasting positive impact. Let's talk about the principle 2, creating a collaborative project team environment. If you look at the definition from PMI, project team are made up of individuals who wield diverse skills, knowledge, and experience. Project team are made up of individuals who wield diverse skills, knowledge, and experience. Project team that work collaboratively can accomplish a shared objective more effectively and efficiently than individuals working on their own. Project team that works collaboratively can accomplish a shared objective more efficiently and effectively than individuals working on their own. So this reflects synergy. The synergy that occurs when the combined effort of a group produces a result that is greater than the sum of the individual contributions. If you look at creating collaborative project team environment involves multiple contributing factors such as team creating agreements, establishing and adhering to structure, and establishing process. So we'll talk about this team agreements, the structure, and the process in very detail. If you look at the team agreement, we list key features of team agreements. It captures the behavioral norms which define how team members should interact, communicate, and resolve conflicts. The project team collaborate at the start of the project to reflect the collective values and expectations. We evolve these working guidelines to set expectations for work process, fulfilling deadlines, and establishing the right communication channels. We adaptively evolve the team agreement as a team identified new norms or behaviors during the project lifecycle. We foster commitment which requires all team members to uphold and adhere to the agreed parameters to ensure trust and cohesion. This is what we factor as part of team agreement. And let's talk about the structure.
As
We
part of
establish organization structure for the project, which are frameworks or arrangement
that helps coordinate and manage the individual and collective efforts of the team.
aligning them with the organizational process and goals. Typically, we establish project organization structure. They are role based or authority based. A role based is example, a business analyst is responsible for gathering requirement. A quality analyst ensures testing and quality control activity. A developer is taking responsible for coding and technical delivery. In the same way, we also have authority-based structure. A project sponsor is having he or she have the final approval, final say over the budget and strategic decisions.
A project manager oversees day-to-day project execution and coordination.
A team lead handles task delegation and resource allocation within the team. And these are all authority-based structure. And these structures may be imposed or team designed. The benefit of this, it helps to establish clear decision-making authority,
Facilitating escalations and resolutions of conflict, promoting accountability through role clarity, and which reduces overlap and confusion about the task.
Let's talk about the next item, which is on process. The project team define their own or customize or tailor the process that enable completion of tasks and work assignments successfully. For example, the team may decide to use WBS, work breakdown structure, for impact analysis. Kanban they can establish for visualizing workflow, or a RASI matrix. Therefore, fostering a decentralized decision making or granting autonomy for the team yields better result. Let's talk about the clarity of roles and responsibilities. In any project, the clarity on roles and responsibility is a key to the smooth execution and accountability. We clearly classify the authority, accountability, and responsibility aspects. Remember, authority refers to the right to make decisions, allocate resource, approve actions, and is usually granted by an organization or a leader. For example, a project sponsor might have the authority to approve budget changes. Accountability refers an individual being single point of contact or being answerable for the outcomes, and is always assigned to only one single individual. It's not shared. You assign a quality assurance lead as accountable for ensuring the deliverables meet standards. Remember that accountability should be always one person. Responsibility, on the other hand, it's about owning and completing the assigned tasks, and it can be shared. For instance, several team members might share their responsibility for completing a feature, but the team lead is the only person accountable for its overall quality and delivery. A clear distinction among these roles prevent confusion and ensure everyone know their part in the project. Let's talk about shaping the factors shaping the team's own culture. And here are the list. We'll go with an example. The organization culture shapes team's own culture. For examples of values, norms, behavior of the organizations involved in the project. This shapes team's own culture. Example, whether the organization promotes hierarchical decision making or a collaborative approach. Nature of the project, the type, the complexity, and the scope of the project. An example, a high risk innovation project may require flexibility and creativity, while a regulatory project may require strict adherence to project procedures. Operating environment, it can be both external and internal environmental factor such as stakeholders, expectation, market dynamics, regulatory requirement will shape up the team's own culture. A highly competitive market may demand or drive the team towards adopting agility and speed. Team composition also impacts the skill, diversity, and background of the team members. Example, a diverse team with a global team members may shape an inclusive and multicultural team culture. So we may have to cross train the resource. We have to provide cross cultural training for the resource. Leadership style. We cannot take a stereotype or a hardwired leadership approach. It may be situational leadership is what we may have to adopt. The approach of the leadership either authoritative or democratic or transformational. We need to adopt the right leadership style based on the context. For example, a transformational leadership style need to be adopted, which inspires culture of innovation and motivation. Also, the existing process and policies will shape up the team's own culture. The predefined guidelines, tools, and methodologies used in the organization will also shape team's own culture. Now, so the team's own culture captures the team identity and norms, where it captures open feedback and knowledge sharing, collaborative practice, the team approach to adopt for working together effectively, like they can prefer to have a daily stand-up meeting, they can practice pair programming or use a Kanban board. The team communication style, they preferred mode and frequency of communication. The team might adopt informal chat platforms like Slack, Skype, Hangout for quick interactions and a structured weekly meeting for detailed discussions. The team may also factor problem solving approach, they agreed upon methods for addressing challenges. They may come out with a culture of brainstorming and collective decision making, a consensus based decision making. The other parameters include the team performance and dynamics, how well the team operates and collaborates. If you take an example, a high performing team may exhibit trust, accountability, and mutual respect as a direct result of their culture, and adaptability to change, the team's ability to respond to evolving project needs or challenges. An example, a culture of continuous improvement fosters resilience in dynamic environment. And these are the things which are quite important
as part of the second principle.
creating a collaborative team environment. And we'll see the next principle. Let's talk about the third principle on stakeholder. Effectively engage with stakeholder. If you look at the definition from PMI, engage stakeholder proactively and to the degree needed to contribute to project success and customer satisfaction. So you engage stakeholders proactively and to the required degree needed to contribute to project success and customer satisfaction. Now, who is a stakeholder? Stakeholder are individuals, groups, or organization involved in or impacted by a portfolio, program, or project. They may affect or be affected by or perceived to be affected either positively or negatively by project decisions, activities, or outcomes. And these stakeholders can directly or indirectly influence the project performance or outcome. So it is imperative to engage with stakeholders effectively. Let's see. The stakeholder influence project performance and outcomes. Project team serves other stakeholders by engaging with them, and proactive engagement of stakeholder advances value delivery. And this is the one of the important significance of effective engagement with stakeholder. If you look at stakeholders can affect many aspects of a project. Like there are quite a row of things. We'll see scope. Stakeholders can affect on scope. The stakeholders may request changes to the project's scope or requirements by identifying new needs or eliminating unnecessary element. An example, a marketing manager might request adding a new feature to a CRM system that helps track customer interactions more precisely. They may add scope. The stakeholders can also affect on schedule. Stakeholders can either expedite or delay project by their actions or decisions. For example, a supplier might promise early delivery of a key component. This will accelerate the schedule. Conversely, a delayed decision from a regulatory body could slow down project approvals. And this we see an example here on schedule, how they impact on schedule. The stakeholder can also affect the cost aspect of it. The stakeholders influence costs by introducing or removing steps, restrictions, or resource. A finance team, for example, might propose cost-cutting measures by eliminating non-essential project phases, while a legal team might add compliance check, increasing the budget. Now, stakeholders can affect project team composition by enabling or restricting access to the skilled personnel or fostering a learning environment. An example, HR might allocate additional skilled developers to meet the project demand, or an external partner might limit resource availability due to contract constraints. Stakeholders can also affect on the plans. Stakeholders provide valuable input for project plans or advocate for changes to the agreed activity. An example, a client might propose revising the deployment plan to align with the market launch. So, as a whole, due to the market demand, when the client requires, it may even change the total plan. Stakeholders can also affect on outcomes. Stakeholders can enable or obstruct activities necessary to achieve desired objective. An example, a regulatory stakeholder might block the project if it doesn't meet compliance standards. This will delay the project outcome. Stakeholders can also affect benefit realization. Stakeholders contribute by defining long-term goals to ensure project delivers value. A product owner, for example, might outline post-implementation metrics to measure the success of a new e-commerce platform, for example. Stakeholders can also affect on risk. Stakeholders set the project's risk threshold based on their appetite and engage in risk management activity. For example, a security expert might demand a strict cybersecurity measures, identifying risk and increasing mitigation effort. Let's see the stakeholders' influence on quality. Stakeholders define quality expectations and requirements for deliverables. They may say, this is the metrics I would like to track. A client requiring ISO certification ensures the project that you execute for them adheres to the high quality standard in compliance with ISO. At last, the stakeholder can also affect the success of the project. So, stakeholder establish success criteria and participate in evaluating the outcomes, maybe periodic or event driven. A board member might define success as achieving, example, no? A board member might define success as achieving a 20% ROI within the first year, and the board member might evaluate the project based on this metric. So, we understand how stakeholder impacts various aspects of your project. So towards that, it is imperative to identify, analyze, and proactively engage with stakeholder right from the project start until the project end to enable success. Now, stakeholders are individuals or group that influence or impacted by a project or influence the project. So identifying and involving them early ensures the project meets expectations and avoid delays or conflicts. Take an example. You're going to develop a company. A company is designing a new e-commerce website. The list of stakeholders could be customer, the developers, marketing team, and IT support. Engaging customers during the planning phase through surveys, through interviews, etc., helps identify what features they want. For example, in easier navigation or faster checkout, what specific features they want. The developers and marketers stay aligned to ensure both functionality and meeting the goals. So, proactively involving the stakeholder ensures the website which we design is user friendly in our example.
as
It's
part of
visually appealing
and it's technically sound.
identifying the stakeholders early will help you to engage them proactively. We'll also list down the communication aspect. Communication is a key part of engagement. The communication and stakeholder go hand in hand. So, however, engagement delves deeper to include awareness of ideas of others, assimilation of other perspective, and collectively shaping a shared solution. So, engagement, why it is important, it is just not talking. It involves true understanding of stakeholders' views, integrating their ideas, and working together to create a solution everyone supports. An example, a hospital is introducing a new scheduling software for doctors and nurses. And nurses may feel the old system works fine, while the doctor wants faster, quicker scheduling. By engaging both groups, the project team listen to nurses' concern about the complexity they encounter and ensure the new system has an intuitive interface so that they can access. With this, the final solution could address both efficiency and ease of use, gaining acceptance from everyone. So, communication is a key part of engagement. stakeholder engagement. Stakeholder engagement also enables opportunity for stronger project performance and outcomes, in addition to increasing stakeholder satisfaction. Involving stakeholders lead to better ideas, improved outcomes, while making stakeholders feel valued and satisfied. Take an example, a city is building a bike lane. The planners engage cyclists, pedestrians, and local business early. If they do so, cyclists could suggest they need safer intersections, pedestrian request clear crossing, and business people propose adding parking spaces nearby. By incorporating this idea that the city creates a bike lane that boosts safety, satisfies nearby residents, community, and increases local business traffic. And that is the aspect of engaging stakeholders which creates opportunities for stronger project performance and outcomes in addition to increasing satisfactions of stakeholder. Finally, engaging other stakeholders also help the project team to find a solution that may be more acceptable to a broad range of stakeholders, which will increase the adoption. When multiple stakeholders are involved, their differing views can create conflict. Engaging them early often helps find solutions to acceptable to all. Take an example, a university is redesigning its cafeteria. The students want affordable meals while staff prioritize healthy options. By engaging both the groups, the cafeteria could offer affordable, healthy meal package that satisfies both students' budget and staff's nutritional concern. This inclusive approach avoids dissatisfaction and ensures smooth implementation. And this is a core content which we need to pay attention towards stakeholder, the principle 3. And we'll see principle 4 in the next presentation. Thank you. Let's focus on the principle 4, focus on value. Let's understand what is value first. Value is a worth, important, or usefulness of something. It's a worth, importance, or usefulness of something. As a responsible project manager, we should focus on value. We need to figure out the value as perceived by the customer, be it an internal customer or an external customer or end user, which is the ultimate success indicator for your project. It is measured through financial, social, and customer benefits. The project need to align with a broader program goals or a portfolio goals, because your project is part of your program, either a program or a portfolio. And these are often justified by preparing a business case and checking whether the project is in align with the business case in terms of strategy alignment, risk, return on investment, and the KPI. So we do qualitative and quantitative analysis. Whether you have qualitative or quantitative, the business case ensures the project delivers meaningful outcomes and meets specific needs. Now let us consider the significance of identifying value and capturing in a business case. The identification of value helps to explain why the project is needed, and this is coins based on initial business requirement, which help you to describe goals and objectives, whether the perceived value can benefit the organization, client, or public, and who are the relevant stakeholder. It will help you align the team to the stakeholder expectation. It also helps to identify ways to add value to the project. Now, your business case consists of 3 important items. They are business need, justification, and your business strategy. Let's talk in detail about these 3: the business need, justification, and your business strategy. Let's start with business need. A business need explains why a project is being undertaken. It is a reason or purpose behind the project. It is often outlined in project charter once a business case is prepared or other official documents. It describes the goal, objectives of the business, and can be for organization doing the project or the client or a group of organizations working together, or even for a public benefit. Why it is important? A clear business need help the project team understand what the business wants, to achieve in the future. It gains clarity. It also helps the team see opportunities to add value or solve problems throughout the project in alignment with the business need. Let's see an example. Now, a company launched a project to build an e-commerce website to meet customer demands for online shopping. And another example, a company initiates a project to improve public transportation to reduce traffic congestion and pollution. So this communicates the business need. Let's talk about business justification. The business justification shows why the project need is worth investing now. Why should we focus now? And justify why it should be addressed now and what is the impact if we don't address now. It will also encompass a cost benefit analysis to weigh between the cost and the benefit associated with the project, and will also capture the key assumptions behind this justification. Now, why this justification should be addressed? Justification explains the urgency, it creates a sense of urgency for the team. It describes why the project should be initiated immediately rather than later, such as market trend or potential risk of delaying actions. So, take an example in our CRM software development. Competitors are already offering online shopping. What if competitors are already offering online shopping and customers are shifting towards digital platform? So this gives a threat. If the business delay the app, it risks losing more customers to the competitors. So we also do analysis of cost and benefit. This provides justification comparing the cost of executing the project with the benefit it will generate. Analysis help justify the project as a is it a worthwhile investment. Now take an example. If we list down the cost of developing CRM example we discussed, CRM app development example we discussed. Assume it incurs a total of 45k USD for that. Now, if the benefit includes 100k annual increase in sales by reaching more customers, reducing dependency on physical store traffic, which can fluctuate based on location or external factor. So this analysis of both cost and benefit shows the app will deliver a return on investment within the first year, making it valuable project for the business. So the cost benefit analysis helps to weigh the economic analysis and justify whether a project favors in terms of economic parameters. Now we also capture key assumptions. So justification also depends on key assumptions that are expected to hold true for project success. These assumptions should be realistic and well defined. A typical assumptions which we can consider to list down. Customers will adopt the app for online purchase because of convenience. Marketing campaign, we assume marketing campaign will effectively reach the target audience. We may also assume there will be no regulatory challenge or significant delay in app development. And these assumptions highlight potential risk and areas that needs monitoring, rigor and risk management. Now let's talk about the third important element which are related, which is your business strategy. The business strategy is a driving force behind the project. It explains the larger purpose and ensures that project needs align with the organization's long-term goal and plans to deliver value. The business strategy is a driving force behind a project. It explains the larger purpose. This project, with respect to the larger purpose, and ensure that project needs align with the organization's long-term goal and plans to deliver value. And why it is important? Every project should support the organization's strategy to ensure resources are used effectively and value is delivered in alignment with the business priorities. So take an example, a company expanding internationally, launching a multilingual e-commerce platform enabling local currency, local language, and shipping options. This enhances customer experience, boosts revenue, and strengthen market positions ensuring strategic resource alignment. We also capture the desired outcome that must be defined and assessed. Remember, the output is just the deliverable. The outcome is a benefit that we reap when the deliverables are utilized and adopted and a customer finds a value on it. And that's your outcome. That's the difference between your output, which is mere deliverable outcome, once when the customer utilizes and finds value in using it. So desired outcome must be defined and assessed. The project should establish specific goals upfront. Example, improving customer retention, improving employee productivity. So these outcomes which are listed must be monitored and updated as a project progress to remain alignment with the business objective. So take an example of our implementing a CRM. The desired outcome should be clearly defined and updated, with the project team adapting to the changes and evaluating progress to ensure alignment with the business need, or terminating the project if value is no longer achievable. So a constant governance, the governance should focus periodically or event driven based on need basis whether the project is in alignment with the business case. Does the objectives of the business case itself change? How can we align, or is it possible to achieve progress in alignment with the business case? Now let's reiterate, the value is subjective. The perception of value is subjective and varies among stakeholders. The different stakeholder prioritize different benefits.
As
For
part of
example, management may value increased sales. Employee, on the other hand, may value easier task management, enhancement in the capability. Customers may value improved service and faster response. So balancing these sometimes competing expectations is critical while prioritizing the customer's perspective. Take an example, the CRM which we are referring must cater to management's need for sales report, employees' needs for task automation, and customer needs for better service. Now, the focus is on outcome and not just deliverable. Delivering the CRM software isn't enough. The project team must ensure it achieves its intended objective. In terms, example here, improving productivity and customer satisfaction. It should complement deliverables with supportive actions as well. For example, data migration from the existing system or knowledge transfer to the recipient organization. Now, in our CRM example, along with delivering the CRM software, staff training is provided to ensure employees can use the system effectively and maximize productivity improvements. It is important to ensure collaboration with organization leaders to ensure alignment. So it may require leaders' buy-in. Leaders must be involved to ensure deliverables are integrated effectively and positioned to achieve planned outcomes. Example here, the leadership team helps ensure the CRM system is adopted across department like a horizontal deployment with teams collaborating to maximize its impact. Let's talk about the principle number 5, recognize, evaluate, and respond. If you look at any project professional, including project manager in a setting, it is imperative to recognize, evaluate, and respond to the dynamic circumstance that prevails within and surrounding the project. And this has to be dealt in a holistic way to positively affect project performance. Now, let's take an example and understand this recognize, evaluate, and respond in detail. Take an example, we want to build a smart city infrastructure. These projects that are executed as part of this could be a part of a larger system like a program or a portfolio. And there could be a lot of subcomponents, and we need to ensure these connected systems work together as a whole when we integrate. The team may have to interact, engage with the stakeholder. There could be a diverse views both in internal and external, both with internal and external stakeholders. The team must ensure to align the internal and external view to keep everything in sync. Projects may have subsystem and this has to be integrated and it has to work well when we integrate. The team must ensure all components integrate effectively. There should be regular interaction and alignment between teams, multiple departments to resolve dependency or to leverage the diverse view of capacity and capability of other team. The team may have to have regular interactions, and we should also figure out a way where project deliver incrementally wherever possible. It's not just a big bang delivery at the end. If there is a possibility, we need to figure out project deliver value over time through incremental outputs. The team should go extra mile. It is not about delivering an output to a recipient organization or an operations team or other organization. The team should empathize with their customer, with their end user to enable better adoption. So it is not about just delivering output. The team should go extra mile to understand, to empathize with customer so that the adoption of our deliverable happens. So it is not just output, it becomes an outcome when the adoption happens, when the stakeholder finds a benefit of using it. And we also have a challenge that project face constant changes. This could have a ripple effect on cost, schedule, and scope or other parameters. And we see one change, if it is introduced, it may attract changes to the contract or change of supplier or other change of system itself. And if there is a change, there are some changes where it may need approval, regulatory approval, external entities. So this example covers the important characteristics of this recognize, evaluate, and respond. Now, the project team and project manager should possess what skill to support this. The skills supporting system view includes empathy with the business area. You need to empathize with the business team, customer, end user. Critical thinking is essential. It's not about just data driven. We got to be open minded. We need to see the problem with diverse perspective, with open minded, generate solution with a diverse perspective. It's not about only data. We need to also encompass the aspect of being open, having open mindset to define the problem and to also generate solution with an open mindset. It's also important to challenge the assumptions because this assumptions should be revised very often based on the project dynamics. We got to also seek external review and advice. It could be regulatory, it could be external SME. So we also have to incorporate use of integrated methods, artifacts, and practices so that there is a common understanding of project work across multiple departments. There's a common understanding on the deliverables and the shared goals and its outcome. Sometimes we also use modeling. We may not be able to implement in real life scenario. So there could be, we may use modeling of scenarios to envision how system dynamics may interact and react. This is one way in one point in your PMBOK 7 in future topic on how do we handle complexity. Modeling and simulation is one of the important topic there. Proactive management of integration should be done to help achieve business outcome. I hope you got clear with the detailed example on this recognize, evaluate, and respond. We'll see in the next principle. Let's talk about the principle 6, act like a leader. So this emphasizes to demonstrate and adapt leadership behavior to support individual and team members' needs. Here are the few key considerations towards leadership. The project needs strong leadership because they involve high stakes and diverse team. If you look at project often have tight deadlines, big expectations, and team members with diverse expertise. The leadership need to ensure the team stay focused and motivated. So unlike regular work, project often face uncertainty, confusions, and conflict from multiple influences. So project bring together diverse input which can lead to disagreement. A leader's role is to reduce confusion and to find the common ground. The successful project shows leadership from many team members. It's not necessarily a manager or a leader who's designated should practice leaderships. Anyone can step up and lead and practice leadership. So leadership traits like vision, creativity, and empathy leads to better results. Good leaders inspires the team by thinking creatively and understanding their needs. Leadership means inspiring and guiding others through action and character. The leaders guide the team not just through authority but by example. So the other attributes like leadership is not tied to one role. Anyone in a project can show leadership skill, can demonstrate leadership skill. The high performing projects often involve multiple leaders working in a harmony. So too many misaligned stakeholders, influencers can cause confusion. But complementary leaderships avoids this scenario. Effective leadership combines adapting to various leadership style. So effective leadership combines influencing, motivating, directing, and coaching. For example, during Tuckman, team stage of development, it is important during forming, directive style of leadership is adopted. So during your storming, during your norming, you need to adapt coaching, and during performing, you need to adapt delegating and coaching. So it's a judicious blend of different leadership style we need to adopt based on the situation. So also leadership also reflects on organization's culture and practices. And here are the few attributes of a good leader. So this involves seeking resource and support for the project, generating consensus to on the best way forward to move the projects the best way forward, overcoming, resolving obstacles to progress to the project progress, negotiating and resolving conflicts within the project team and between project team and other stakeholders, adapting the communication style and messaging so that they are relevant to the audience. So based on the audience, the communication style need to be adapted. It also involves coaching and mentoring. Remember, the goal of coaching is on performance, unlike training. The training is kind of a brain dump, knowledge transfer from one person to another. Coaching, the goal of coaching is maximizing the performance. So while we coaching, the coach may ask intuitive questions for the coachee or the team member to promote self-awareness, to introspect better. So the goal of coaching is to improve the performance. Mentoring is a long-term orientation where mentors set career path. Beck and call, the mentor is available. It helps to set the career path. It's a long-term orientation. Appreciating and rewarding, rewards and recognitions, rewarding positive behaviors and contribution. Remember, we need to give clarity to the team members why this reward and recognitions are announced and why it is why is someone nominated, because it will create misplaced competition, animosity between team members. Providing opportunities for skilled growth and development, facilitating collaborative decision making. These are the key attributes of a leader. So we'll see the principle 7 in the next video. Thank you. Let's talk about the principle number 7, tailor based on context. Every project is unique. It has its own unique constraints. So we need to tailor the project based on the objective of the project, the stakeholders, risk appetite, the rigor of governance, the team size. So we're going to see, because one size does not fit for all the project. One same approach cannot fit for all the projects. So we need to do tailoring. Here are the key considerations on tailoring. Let's see PMI definitions on that. Design the project development approach based on the context of the project, its objective, stakeholder, governance, and the environment, using just enough process to achieve the desired outcome while maximizing value, managing cost, and enhancing speed. So let's dissect this definition to understand better. We design the project development approach based on the context of the project. If it's a construction industry, It is imperative to do planning upfront, and during execution, the goal is adhere to the plan. And once execution is over, we give a big bang delivery to customer. If it's a IT project, a software development project, we are required to deliver frequently. We need to take feedback from customer. We need to pivot our product. So we design the project development approach, whether it's a hybrid, whether it's a predictive or adaptive or a hybrid blending the approaches. It is designed based on the context, its objective, also stakeholder, and the environment using just enough process. So figure out a way where we take a minimalist on the approach, just enough in terms of process to achieve the desired outcome while maximizing the value delivery to customer and also managing cost and enhancing speed. Here are the few factors. We need to scan the business environment and adapt and tailor accordingly. Tailoring is helpful to adapt. Team size. What if our team size is less than 10? The more individuals and interactions are possible. What if this team size grew 10 times bigger? That means more process, more protocols, more hierarchy there. The individuals and interactions may size down, process and tools may be more needed. It's also a degree of uncertainty, and we also have to factor the project complexity. Take an example, we have a two project. Project A is about construction of a big building, and project B is to develop a prototype to increase the mileage of the car. Assume both the project is estimated $1 million. The project B, which is developing the prototype for increasing the mileage of the car, is more complex because there are too many interconnectedness in the system. So this leads to complexity. So we need to tailor assessing these parameters. Also, we need to factor our approach should be holistic, which considers interrelated complexities and adopting just enough process. Use only the process necessary. Use only those methods, templates, and artifacts which are necessary. Here also, your role of PMO is pivotal, where PMO collaborates with project team to decide on the delivery approach and resource selection, location. Say, for example, you want to determine the project approach. PMO or the custodian to maintain a template to help you determine for this context whether your project can go adaptive, or predictive or a hybrid. So standard models like Agile Continuum Spectrum, Stacey Matrix, Agile Suitability Filter. So your team, your PMO maintains those templates to help you determine the right development approach. You may have to leverage by collaborating with them. So we also tailor based on other parameters like the context, like organization and environment, because the context, like organization and environment, are unique. So every project will be different. The team adjusts methods for better outcomes. You may have to provide rules and process for project execution. A team may adopt a standard process given by PMO, but still tailor them as needed. And this tailoring must follow the organizational policies. Even though team is given an autonomy, but tailoring must follow organizational policies. And as we are giving autonomy to the trainer, to the team to tailor the approach, it helps you to secure their buy-in and allow deeper commitment from the project team members because they took part in the defining the approach. Reduction in waste. PMO shares the template, and it is important project team justifies to waiver and tailor to maximize the value. Customer oriented focus, and tailoring may be done based on the assessing the needs of the customer and other stakeholder which are the influencing factor for tailoring. Also, more efficient use of resource as project team are conscious of the weight of the project process because if you allow them for tailoring. Here are the few considerations with respect to the tailoring. The tailoring helps to boost innovations, efficiency, and productivity. Capturing lessons learned on what tailoring is done will help for future projects. It enhances organizational methodology with the new practices. It will help you find better outcomes and process through experimentation. It also helpful to integrate diverse method within multidisciplinary teams. Some organization utilize PMO help if any tailoring is done from a project. If it's found useful, they will explore for horizontal deployment to other projects. So tailoring also increase long-term adaptability for the organization, because if an organization announce a change, it could be sometimes a quantum change for the team members. They may feel it very heavy. So the adaptability can be done by gradually tailoring. So tailoring help the change stick. It increases long-term adaptability for the organization. Thanks. This is on the principle 7 on tailoring. We'll see you on principle 8. Thank you. Let's talk about principle number 8. Build quality into process and deliverables. This principle is foundation to successful project execution, because quality isn't something we add at the end. It must be integrated throughout our entire process. As we'll see, when quality is built in, we experience numerous benefits that positively impact our project team, project, and the stakeholders and customers. Example to mention, considers Toyota manufacturing approach. They built quality in process, they build quality in philosophy, means that any worker can stop the production line if they spot a defect, addressing quality issues immediately rather than fixing problems after production. So this approach has made Toyota a benchmark for quality and efficiency in the manufacturing. Let's detail this principle. The essence of this principle is maintaining a constant focus on quality that ensures our deliverables meet project objectives and align with stakeholders' needs and requirements. What's important to understand is that quality isn't just about the final product. It is about embedding quality checkpoints and standards throughout the entire delivery lifecycle. Examples to mention, when Apple develops a new iPhone, quality isn't just doing a final QC check, quality control check. It starts with right from material selection, continues through design decisions as well, manufacturing process as well, software development, and extend to user experience testing. At each stage, a specific quality criteria which must be met before moving forward. If that is in place, this integrated approach to quality is why Apple products maintain such a high standards and customer satisfaction. So let's talk about the important dimensions of quality. Quality is multifaceted and it can be viewed throughout different dimensions. So understanding these dimensions help us define what quality means for our specific projects. And here are the 8 important dimensions to discuss: performance, conformity, reliability, resilience, satisfactions, uniformity, efficiency, and sustainability. Let's talk about each of this with an example. Performance. So this talks about how well the product or service functions for its intended purpose. For example, a database systems query expect meet the time, response time within 3 seconds. It's performance. Conformity. How closely the product or service adheres to the established standard. A software code that follows the organization's standards and the best practices. It talks about conformity to the standards. Reliability, how consistently the product or service performs as expected over time. Take an example of an elevator system. The elevator system that should operate without failure, reliably for nearly 10,000 cycles. The resilience refers how well the product or service recovers from failure or adapt to change. For example, a cloud platform that automatically shifts workload when a server fails and server is down, it automatically shifts its workload. Satisfaction. This refers meeting user expectations and needs. Take an example, a mobile app with intuitive navigation that helps in higher user satisfaction. Uniformity. How consistent is the product or service is across different instances or use. If you look at a customer service process that deliver the same level of support regardless of which executive or agent handles this request. Uniformity. Efficiency. The efficiency refers how well the product or service uses the resources, utilize the resource. For example, a manufacturing process, if it is well built with quality, that reduces material waste by 25%. Sustainability, how well the product or service performs over its entire life cycle. Take an example, an infrastructure designed to reduce maintenance cost and environmental impact. Does it sustain for more than 2 decades or 3 decades? Sustained over its entire life cycle. So these are the different dimensions, important dimensions we consider as part of quality. Now, let's talk about the important quality measurements. To build quality in, we need robust measurement approaches. A few other things to mention is utilizing your metrics and acceptance criteria. For a website project, we might measure the page load time. For example, it should respond within 1 second, 2 seconds, accessibility compliance, or whether it is compatible to different browsers, at least the top 5 browsers. And the quality measurements also to factor based on stakeholder, contract, or regulatory needs. If we take a healthcare project, whether the HIPAA compliance is imperative, adhering to compliance on HIPAA is imperative. If it is aerospace, DO 254. If it is automotive safety, is ISO 26262. Or if it's industrial safety, there are some compliance it has to be, we have to adhere to. And this quality is linked, these measurements are linked to quality in design documents updated through experimentation. For example, a UI UX designer may start with assumption about a user workflow, and that needs fine-tuning or refinement based on the actual user testing data. And this measurement is also evaluated by inspections and testing. So we do code review for software, could be a peer review, lead review, QA review. Maybe we'll also augment an automated unit test, regression test, corner cases testing, integration testing, and user acceptance testing. These measurements will help to take an informed decisions. Now, it's assessed through reviews and audit. So you may have a formal audit with the QA team. It could be a quarterly audit with respect to some standards. For example, ISO standard, CMMI. Also, this measurement aims to detect and prevent errors or defects. Take an example, Tesla's manufacturing process. They use competitive computer vision systems to detect microscopic flaws in components because they are assembled before they are assembled, which help to avoid potential failures. Now, let's talk about the important benefits of build quality into process and deliverables. It offers numerous advantages. It includes the deliverable fit for purpose and meets objective. For example, a CRM system that actually increases sales team efficiency, is it as intended? If it is taken care, it will avoid the administrative burden. It also helps to minimize defects and reduce rework. A construction project, when it is planned well and quality materials are used, it reduces costly fixes after we go through the important phases of your waterfall. It also helps in timely delivery with cost control. An example is software development may use test-driven development, which is important practice of your extreme programming, where we develop first the test and we will write a design code to make the test pass. So with this approach, it reduces it could reduce the total development time by catching issues earlier, where it is easier to fix earlier rather than at the later phase of the project. And building in quality into process also enhances product quality and reduce compliance. A consumer electronics company that sees warranty claim could drop after implementing more rigorous component testing, improved supply chain and integration and productivity. If a manufacturing firm that works with different suppliers, if they establish quality standards right from the intake of raw material, it will avoid the ripple effect of these defects in the subsequent phases, leads to fewer rejection and faster production cycles. It also helps to better improve the team morale and satisfaction. A marketing team that could experience less stress and burnout because they're constantly fixing errors and dealing with clients complaints and it's evolving. Also, we see a benefit of robust service delivery and decision making. Let's take an example, a consulting firm that may use standardized methodology, leading to more consistent client outcomes, regardless of which consultant lead that project. Now, the last important item to discuss is continuously, it will help to continuously improve your process. Take an example, a financial service company that analyzes quality issues quarterly and implement process improvement method. It could see a potential reduction of errors over the subsequent phases or over the year on year. Now, the important takeaway, the conclusion is, remember that quality is not just inspection at the end. It's a mindset and approach that should permeate every aspect of a project work from inception to delivery and beyond. Thank you. We'll see in the principle number 9 in our next video. Welcome to a session on principle 9, navigating complexity in projects. Complexity can arise from various factors and affect how we manage projects. So by end of this session, you will understand how to evaluate and navigate project complexity effectively. So projects are systems with interacting elements which inherently lead to complexity. This complexity arises from human behavior, system behavior, ambiguity, and interactions, which we'll see in detail. The nature and a number of interactions within the project and its environment contribute to complexity. Sometimes team cannot control complexity but can adjust activities to manage its impact. Take an example, a project involving multiple stakeholders and technologies can become complex due to the multiple interactions between these elements. So let's understand complexity factors. Projects are system of interacting elements which inherently leads to complexity. Notice how complexity emerges from 4 reasons. Major reasons, they are human behavior, system behavior, ambiguity, and various interactions. The critical insight here is we can't control complexity, but we can adjust our activity to manage its impact. The stakeholders both contribute to or affected by complexity, either individually or collectively. So complexity often stems from unpredictable elements like risk, dependencies, and relationship. Take an example, the development of a new pharmaceutical product. In this situation, clinical trials involve human subjects where you can expect an unpredictable response, regulatory requirements where you have to cater multiple regulatory requirements in agencies, technological systems, market forces, which is driven by competitive landscape. So each elements interact with others, creating a web of complexity that must be navigated rather than eliminated. So let's understand the human behavior as a complexity factor. The human behavior adds a significant layer of complexity to projects through subjective elements. When discussing human behavior, we are referring to the conduct, attitude, and experiences that vary across stakeholders. They have their own unique personal agenda, motivations, and perspectives. These can create conflicting priorities. Also, the cultural diversity in global project amplifies this complexity through difference in time zone, language, and cultural norms. Take an example, consider a software implementation projects spanning offices in New York, Mumbai, and UK. Team members have different communication styles, varying attitude towards hierarchy, and distinct work schedules. So these differences could create misunderstanding about deadlines and decision making authority as well. So the project manager can successfully navigate this by creating explicit communication protocols and culturally aware collaboration guidelines. So next, we'll talk about the system behavior as a complexity factor. The system behavior refers to the dynamic interdependencies between projects, project elements, and that can be difficult to predict. In technical projects, when you integrate systems, it often introduces unforeseen risk and complications. When systems interact, they can create a cascading effect where one change triggers multiple consequences. And these interactions often lead to unclear cause and effect relationship, making it difficult to trace the problem itself to their source. Take an example, the initial rollout of healthcare app by government. It could demonstrate system complexity issues. While the individual components in the app worked well when tested separately, the integration of multiple subsystems in the field could create unexpected bottlenecks and failures. The app or the site which we develop for the healthcare could find challenges to handle the volume of interactions between the system when you integrate, leading to its initial failure despite each component passing individual test. But when you integrate, it poses a serious problem. So let's talk about the uncertainty and ambiguity as complexity factors. Let's distinguish between this ambiguity and uncertainty as both contribute to complexity in different ways. Ambiguity refers to the lack of clarity or understanding. Situations like situations with multiple interpretations or unclear context will lead to ambiguity. Uncertainty involves unknown issues or outcomes, including the famous term we say unknowns. We can't anticipate. Those we can't anticipate. So both require different approaches. Ambiguity needs clarification, while uncertainty needs exploratory approach and contingency planning. Take an example in new product development projects. Ambiguity might appear in unclear customer requirement, while uncertainty might manifest as unknown market reactions to the product or unforeseen technical challenges. A project manager might address ambiguity by conducting user research to clarify requirement, while addressing uncertainty through prototyping and market testing to explore potential outcomes. So let's talk about technological innovation as a complexity factor. This technological innovation is a double-edged sword for the for the project complexity. On one hand, a new technology can disrupt established products, service, or work process in unpredictable way. On the other hand, technology can provide solutions to complex problems if applied appropriately. The key insight here is that innovation increases complexity when uncertainties about the technology aren't adequately addressed. Take an example, the introduction of a blockchain in supply chain management. This illustrates this duality. Organization implementing blockchain face complexity in integrating with legal system, training staff on new processes, and managing stakeholder concerns about data security. However, when these uncertainties are addressed through pilot programs, periodic engagement with stakeholders, comprehensive training, blockchain can actually reduce complexity by providing transparent tracking and verification process. So, the complexity in projects, its general characteristics are: complexity can emerge at any stage of the project lifecycle, not just in the execution phase. It requires team to assess both individual components and how they interact as a system, as a whole system. This holistic approach means looking beyond immediate task, the near-term task, to understand their context and connections. Early recognition of potential complexity which may appear in future allows for more effective planning and mitigation strategies. Take an example, a city transportation infrastructure project. This demonstrates how complexity appears throughout the life cycle. In planning, complexity emerges from stakeholder needs. Example, commuters, environmental groups, business. During a design, technical complexity arises in integrating with the existing system. In execution, unexpected soil conditions create complexity. Force majeure creates complexity. In closing, transitioning to operations presents organizational complexity. So each stage requires different approach to navigate these various forms of complexity. And here is a summary of managing complexity, the approaches and strategies. Managing complexity requires multiple complementary approach rather than a single solution. A system thinking helps us to understand the interactions and dependencies rather than focusing on isolated components. An adaptive approach allows us to adjust plans as complexity evolves and new information emerges. We may have to leverage past experience and lessons learned, which provides valuable insights for anticipating complexity. Constant vigilance is crucial. Constantly monitoring for signs of emerging complexity allows for timely intervention. Take an example, a hospital implementing a new electronic health record system. This could manage complexity through these approaches. They can use system thinking to map interdependencies between departments and workflow. They can employ an adaptive approach with phased implementation rather than a big bang implementation that could allow for adjustments, pivoting based on feedbacks. They could leverage the past experience from other hospitals to anticipate the future challenges that may pose. So their vigilance in monitoring system performance and staff's adaptation, this could allow them to quickly address emerging issues before they become more critical problems. So I hope this clarifies principle 9 on managing complexity. So let's talk about the principle number 10, optimize risk response. This principle is fundamental to project success as all projects face uncertainty. Now we'll explore how to effectively identify, evaluate, and respond to both the negative risk, which is called threats, the positive risk, which are called as opportunities. So by end of this short presentation, you'll understand how to develop a proactive risk management approach that can significantly improve project outcomes. Let's see a day-to-day example. Everyday activities involve risk management, like checking the weather forecast before planning an outdoor event, getting an insurance for your car, or having a backup plan for important meetings. The project risk management follows similar principle but in a more structured way. So, what is needed is optimize risk response. Here, we continually evaluate exposure to risk, be it a positive risk, which is called opportunity, or the negative risk, which are called as threats. The whole goal of this optimizing risk response is to maximize the positive impact from the opportunity or minimize, eliminate, or neutralize the negative impacts to the project and its outcomes. Recollect, risk is defined as an uncertain event that can affect the objectives of the project either positively or negatively. It is important to remember that identified risks are possibilities We are not certain they may or may not actually occur. Risk management involves evaluating both internal factors, like things which are within the project team's control, or and the external factors as well, the market conditions, regulations, the law of the land, political, economical, social, cultural, technological, environmental, and legal, the PESEL factors. So the threats can manifest as a schedule delay, or budget overruns, or quality issues, or even damage to the reputation of the organization. The team must monitor not just individual risk, but also the aggregate risk profile of the entire project. So when we say risk appetite, it refers to stakeholders' general tolerance for uncertainty, their risk seeking attitude. So we have risk threshold. This is the specific boundary of acceptable variations. The risk threshold decides, it factors in. This is the cutoff beyond which an organization cannot pay a penny more for that project. So these thresholds provide concrete guidance. For example, if I say plus or minus 5% threshold, this indicates less tolerance compared to when the risk threshold is plus or minus 10%. So let's see an example to understand this better. Consider a pharmaceutical company developing a new drug. They may have different risk threshold for different aspects of the project. For patient safety, zero tolerance. For development budget, it can have a moderate flexibility of plus or minus 5%. If it's on the launch timeline schedule, they may have higher flexibility, perhaps plus or minus 15%. So this demonstrates how risk approaches can be tailored based on the context, with with more stringent or stricter thresholds for critical factors like safety, and more flexible thresholds for less critical factors like timeline. I hope this clarifies on the 10th principle, optimize risk response. So let's talk about the principle number 11, embrace adaptability and resilience. This principle is especially relevant in today's volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. We call it VUCA, business environment. So through this presentation, we'll explore how building adaptability and resiliency into a project approaches can significantly improve project outcomes. So by the end of this presentation, you will understand the practical strategies for implementing this principle in your own project. Let's take an example. Consider how adaptable organizations thrived during COVID-19 pandemic. Example, Zoom. Zoom saw tremendous growth by being able to rapidly scale their infrastructure, while restaurants quickly pivoted to delivery and takeout models, survived while others failed because they failed to adapt. So these organizations demonstrated both adaptability, changing their approach, and resiliency, which is recovering from the initial shock or the negative impact. So let's start by understanding the core definition of this principle. The key focus here is on building adaptability and resiliency into both organizational and team approaches. Notice the three outcomes mentioned: accommodating change, recovering from setbacks, and advancing project work. Adaptability is about being flexible enough to adjust to the changing circumstances. Resiliency is about bouncing back quickly from challenges or setbacks. Both qualities need to be intentionally built into project approach right from the beginning. Take an example, SpaceX. SpaceX exemplifies this principle in their rocket development approach. Their mantra of test, fail, test again, test, fail, fix, test again demonstrate both adaptability and resiliency. When a rocket test fails, they quickly analyze the data, adapt their design, and try again. So, this approach allowed them to achieve rapid innovations in an extraordinarily complex field where only the government players can do. So, after the first few prototypes, which got exploded during testing, they were able to quickly implement changes and continue advancing their program rather than by paralyze it with the setbacks. Now, this slide shows adaptability and resilience concept, how it's built upon each other. The point one here refers we must first recognize that all projects face challenges from changing requirements and stakeholder influences. This is inevitable. The next point refers to adaptability and resiliency or complementary traits. Adaptability helps us respond to change proactively, while resiliency helps us recover quickly when setbacks occur. The point three refer here. Together, these traits enable team to maintain momentum despite obstacles that would otherwise derail progress. The point four here focus on outcomes rather than specific deliverables, which provide the flexibility needed for adaptable approaches. And the most important point here, while we need adaptability, we must balance it with appropriate controls to prevent chaos. So adaptation within a structured change control process is a key. So consider the development of mRNA vaccine technology, which illustrates this progression perfectly. Vaccine developers faced constantly evolving virus data, changing regulatory guidance, and manufacturing constraints. Companies like Moderna, Pfizer demonstrated adaptability by leveraging a new mRNA technology and showed resiliency when facing distribution challenges. Despite numerous obstacles, the team maintained progress through parallel work streams and contingency planning. By focusing on outcomes, effective vaccines rather than traditional development process, they could adapt their approach as new information emerge. Remember, in the middle of the project, the compliance requirement changes. So the adaptability to the new regulations, new information is a key here. While accelerating development, they maintained rigorous safety protocols and structured clinical trials. This helped this vaccine development company adapt the process while persevering scientific integrity. Now, let's explore practical strategies for implementing adaptability and resilience. A small prototype and experiments allow you to test ideas with minimal investment and fail fast if needed. Adopting new technologies, new thinking, and working methods keep your approach fresh and relevant. Processes that balance speed with stability ensure you can move quickly without compromising quality. The speed, balancing the speed with stability. This helps you can move quickly without compromising quality. Open organizational conversations create psychological safety where team members feel comfortable raising concerns early and without worried about the repercussions of rigid opinions or impacting on their career growth. So, the psychological safety environment is a key here. Learning from past projects prevent repeating mistakes and build on successful approaches. So, these strategies don't require massive organization change and can be implemented right from the project level. Take an example in the automotive industry. Toyota developed approach demonstrate these strategies. They built they built multiple prototypes through the development to test different aspects of vehicle design. Their Kaizen continuous improvement philosophy, the Kaizen adoption embraces new working methods. Their set-based design, their set-based design approaches considers multiple solutions simultaneously. This helped to balance exploration with a disciplined execution. And if you there is something called add-on card systems. Toyota was using it. So this encourage anyone to stop production when they see a problem or a defect. Their A3 problem solving methods captures and shares learning across projects. These could be adopted from the project level. It doesn't require a massive organization change. Now this slide highlights four critical enablers that support adaptability and resilience. Anticipating multiple scenarios help team prepare for different possible future rather than being caught off guard. Deferring decisions until the last responsible moment keep options open without creating delays. Open-ended design approaches balance the need for progress with the flexibility to adapt later, and strong management support is essential as adaptability may sometimes appear inefficient in the short term, but it's beneficial in the long term. So these enablers reinforce each other and create an environment where adaptability can flourish. Take an example, Amazon Web Services and the infrastructure planning illustrates these enablers. They use sophisticated forecasting to anticipate multiple demand scenarios for their cloud services. And Amazon defer final capacity decision as long as possible while still ensuring they can meet the peak demands. Their architecture is designed without modularity. Their architecture is designed with modularity that allows for scaling and reconfiguration as their needs change. So they have a modular architecture which enables for scaling and reconfiguration as needs changes. Management provides strong support for this approach, understanding that some reserve capacity is necessary for resilience. Now, this slide emphasizes the benefit of focusing on outcomes rather than specific deliverables from the project. Outcome focus allows team to discover better solutions that may not have been evident at the project start. Evolving technologies and capabilities can create a new opportunity that weren't available when the project began. While adaptation is essential, it should occur within a structured process that includes appropriate stakeholders' approval. The unexpected changes can actually create competitive advantage if we remain open to possibilities. So this shift from deliverable focus to outcome focus is perhaps the most important takeaway. Take an example, Instagram's development journey perfectly illustrates these benefits. Instagram, by focusing on the outcome, which is connecting people rather than the specific deliverable, a check-in app, the founders noticed that users were primarily using the photo sharing features. That is where their users were curious on. So Instagram adapted by pivoting entirely to focus on photo sharing, which wasn't part of the original plan. And this adaptation to this unexpected change created tremendous competitive advantage, leading to a $1 billion acquisition by Facebook just within 18 months after launch. I hope this clarifies on the principle number 11, embrace adaptability and resilience. Let's see in the next video on principle number 12. Thank you. Let's talk about the principle number 12, enable change to achieve envision future state. So this principle focuses on the human side of project management, how we prepare people for change. While previous principles address the technical aspects of project management, this one recognizes that successful projects ultimately depend on people adopting to new ways of working. So by the end of this presentation, you will understand how to effectively manage change to ensure your project vision becomes reality. So let's take an example. Consider Microsoft's rollout of Windows 10 operating systems. The technical implementation was only half the battle. The real success depended on millions of users adapting to the new interfaces and features that were created in your Windows 10. So Microsoft created extensive training resources, phased implementation, and feedback channels to support this transition. So organizations that invested in change management had a smoother transition than those focusing solely on technical deployment. Let's deep dive. So here is a definition from PMBOK on principle number 12. Prepare those impacted for the adoption and sustainment of a new and different behaviors and processes required for the transition from the current state to the intended future state created by the project outcomes. So let's examine the core definition of this principle. The key concept is preparation, getting people ready for new behavior and process. And you can note the emphasis on transition from the current state to intended future state, the as is current state to be the intended future state. So this definition acknowledges that Change doesn't happen automatically when a project delivers its outputs. And this principle recognizes that adoption and sustainment are critical for achieving the project's envisioned outcomes. Without proper change management, even technically competent, technically perfect projects can fail to deliver the intended benefit. Take an example when a sales force implemented in a new CRM system for global retail company, and this happens throughout. If you look at the implementation of CRM, this gives you a glimpse. So they discovered that technical implementation went smoothly, but user adoption lagged. So sales team continued using their old spreadsheets and personal tracking system, and only after developing targeted training, creating champion users in each department, and demonstrating clear benefits did the adoption rate improve. So this illustrates how technical implementation and change management must work hand in hand. Now, here are the few important highlights, the four fundamental aspects of change management. First, organizations stay relevant by adapting to stakeholder needs and change in the environment. Consider projects are vehicles for driving change, helping organization prepare for the future. Change management guides people and team through transition to reach a better state, better state. Finally, change control is a formal process for managing and approving project changes. Together, these concepts create a framework for enabling successful change. Take an example of Netflix. Netflix provided an excellent example of these concepts in action when they shifted from DVD rentals, CD, DVD rentals to streaming. They adapted to changing stakeholder needs because customer wanted instant access to the content. Netflix used projects to drive change, building streaming infrastructure and content library, implemented change management, gradually transitioning customer to the new platform by educating them, utilized change control process, managing the technical transition while maintaining the existing service. So this comprehensive approach to change enabled them to transform the entire business model successfully in migrating from DVD rentals to streaming, optimize risk response. So this slide explores the diverse sources and impact of change. Change can originate internally because of organizational needs or externally because of market forces, market shifts, new technology. So both the group experiencing change and the related industries needs adaptability. Change affects stakeholders at multiple levels while helping achieve project outcomes. The resistance to change is natural and stems from various sources, including risk aversion. Now, stakeholders may not have appetite to take risk. Effective change management requires motivation, engagement, a constant engagement, and a two-way communication. So these points highlight that change is complex and multifaceted, requiring comprehensive approach. Take an example of the banking industry's digital transformation, which illustrates these dynamics. There is an internal need for cost reduction, operational improvement, and an external factor like the competition that prevails in fintech. So these drove change. Both bank and related service need to adapt. The related service includes the payment gateways, providers, security firms. So stakeholders at all levels, right from tellers to executive, were impacted, were affected. So resistance emerged from risk-averse banking culture and regulatory compliance. So successful banks employed comprehensive change management with clear communication about benefits, security measures, and future roles. Take an example how JP Morgan Chase invested heavily. If you refer to JP Morgan Chase, they invested heavily on change management during their digital transformation, resulting in higher adoption rates of mobile banking compared to competitors who focus primarily on technology deployment. So let's talk about this slide emphasizes the project team's role in stakeholder adopting changes. The team helps stakeholder adopt changes by addressing resistance and fatigue. The two challenges are specifically highlighted, which are resistance and fatigue here. Change breeds conflict, change breeds resistance. Now, resistance occurs when stakeholders oppose or question the change. Change fatigue happens when people face too many challenges simultaneously or in a quick succession. If it happens, they may face change fatigue. So the project team must proactively identify and address both issues to enable successful change, both on curtailing the resistance and change fatigue. So this requires understanding stakeholders' concerns and tailoring approaches accordingly. So this slide highlights the importance of early communication about goals and benefits. So sharing goals and benefits early ensures support for the change. When stakeholder understands both the what and the why of change, they are more likely to support it. Early communication gives people room, give people time to process and prepare for the change. Focusing on benefits answers the critical stakeholders question, what's in it for me? So each stakeholder will be curious on answering this question, what's in it for me? Effective communication should be tailored to different stakeholder groups based on their specific concerns and interest. So this approach builds buy-in and reduce resistance before the change even begins. Take an example of Walmart's implementation of new inventory management technology, which demonstrates this principle. 6 months before deployment, they launched a communication campaign called Stock Mart. So store managers received presentation highlighting efficiency benefits and labor savings. Department managers learned how the system would reduce manual counting, inventory, and paperwork. And the associates were shown how the technology would reduce out of stocks and improve customer satisfaction. So, by communicating specific benefits to each stakeholder group early, Walmart achieved improved user satisfaction with the new system from the initial rollout, avoiding the productivity dip that often accompanies when there's a technology change happens. This slide addresses a critical but often overlooked aspect of change management, pacing. The pace of change should match stakeholders' ability to adapt. Implementing change too quickly in succession can overwhelm people, leading to resistance or superficial adoption. They won't adopt with heart. It may be a superficial adoption. Moving too slowly can cause momentum loss and diminish perceived emergency. So, appropriate pacing varies by organization, culture, and the nature of change expected. Successful change leaders monitor adoption rates and adjust their approach accordingly. Now, the pace of the change should be optimized, and that's a core takeaway of this slide. Now, this slide emphasizes that change doesn't end with implementation. Reinforcement is essential. Reinforcing change prevents going back to the old habits. Without reinforcement, people naturally revert to the familiar behaviors and process. The reinforcements includes recognitions, announcing rewards and recognitions, measurements and feedback, publishing dashboards of adoption. It also involves removing barriers to new behaviors and making the old way more difficult. So reinforcement should continue until new behavior becomes habitual and imbibed in the org culture. This phase is often neglected but is critical for achieving lasting change. This slide summarizes the core message: supporting stakeholders leads to successful outcomes. Supporting stakeholder lead to successful outcomes. The support encompasses everything we have discussed so far: communication, training, pacing, addressing resistance, and reinforcement. The emphasis on successful outcomes reminds us that change management isn't just about making people feel good. It's about achieving the project's intended benefit. So this principle connects change management directly to project success, not treating it as a separate or optional activity. When we support stakeholders through change, we enable their vision established at the project's beginning. Take an example of Google's implementation of their Google's Workspace, which is formerly called as G Suite, across large enterprises. This demonstrates this principle so far, what we discuss. Organizations with comprehensive stakeholder support achieved 4 times higher adoption rate than those focusing solely on technical department. So this helps organization realize significantly higher ROI from their investment because they focused on supporting stakeholders throughout the change process. So I hope this clarifies on your principle number 12.
And with that, we have reached to the end of this session on PMBOK and its 12 principles. Should you have any queries or need any assistance with PPT or any other resources used in this session, then please feel free to let us know in the comment section below, and our team of experts will be happy to help you as soon as possible. Until next time, thank you for watching and stay tuned for more from Simplilearn.
Staying ahead in your career requires continuous learning and upskilling. Whether you're a student aiming to learn today's top skills or a working professional looking to advance your career, we've got you covered. Explore our impressive catalog of certification programs in cutting-edge domains, including data science, cloud computing, cybersecurity, AI, machine learning, or digital marketing. Designed in collaboration with leading universities and top corporations, and delivered by industry experts, choose any of our programs and set yourself on the path to career success. Click the link in the description to know more.
Hi there, if you like this video, subscribe to the Simplilearn YouTube channel and click here to watch similar videos. To nerd up and get certified, click here.